I'm Michelle Gussow, and this is something straight out of my mind. So I think we've all had that moment where we're going through things, whether it be a closet or an attic, basement, and we're thinking, I still have that? And then there's stuff that you wish you'd saved, of course, that you didn't. So every time I start going through things, I have a moment with a couple of things, and every time I can't believe I still have that, and I put it back because I guess I know it's kind of amusing to keep having that reaction. But this is kind of interesting because of how far back these items go. And this is going to be of interest to anybody who likes vintage toys. I don't even know if they're considered toys, but what passes as plush. Okay. The first item here, and it is in terrible condition. But this is, I'm going to give you all different angles. If it's hard to tell, this is a jog, and it is kind of a terry cloth outer covering. I think it's always been like that. It was never like fur that came off or anything like that. There's a hole in the back here, and the stuffing is actually coming out, and it is like dry and kind of crackly. And what is interesting about this is this was the first toy I ever had. And I mean ever. It was the first toy when they brought me home from the hospital. That was in my crib. And it's one of those things is whenever it came up, my mom's, that's the first toy you ever had. And I don't know, your parents tell you stories sometimes, and you're like, okay. This I ended up with photographic evidence. Right here. I don't know how well you can see or if it's reflecting, but right there. That's the dog. And that's me. And I don't often just announce this, but I'm 57. This is 2020. So that's how old this little guy is. I keep saying the dog and the little guy. Of all the little animal toys I ever had, this one never had a name. I mean, ever. And I don't know why, it just never did. I know I went through certain stuffed animals where I renamed them a lot. I know that. But this one never had a name at all. And he is yellowed, and he's missing his little bow. I don't know. I actually never do remember him having the little bow that was in the picture. And can you see it in there? There's some other pictures here that because here, there's in there, and there is, you can see there's if you can look closely, there is a little red bow. And this one, too. This is on the floor. And he's there, and you can kind of see it. There's a little red bow there. So evidence, one, that I have had this for a long time, and that indeed it was in the crib with me. And the idea, maybe that's why I just keep, no matter how bad condition this one gets, I just cannot seem to get rid of him. Or her, or it, or... So something else that came up, and this is kind of another landmark thing. When I was about 3 years old, I had a neighborhood woman who babysat for me all the time, and she was very homey. She did sewing and baking, and I remember, for instance, that when my mom went to the hospital to have my sister, that this neighbor was watching me at her house, and we made apple pie, and that was just, unheard of for me. I mean, I was 3 years old, and I couldn't believe it. apple pie from your kitchen. Oh my gosh. But this came from her hand. And I've always referred to him as a little bear. Somebody told me they thought it looked like a little mouse, but no, I think it's a little bear, and he's got these button eyes. I don't know what happened to the little shiny stone that was in this button, but this guy is about 54 years old. So, I guess his vision's going a little. But this is handmade from, I don't know what kind of material this is, but I'm sure there was like a little pattern to make these, and she gave it to me at the time, and I just happened to hold on to it ever since. And I guess he's another one I never did name. Always so cute. He's got a little tongue sticking out, little mouth. And I can't tell. I mean, honestly, there's like a little pattern on the material, and I don't really know what that is. I had to get the magnifier and take a look. But just thought I'd introduce you to these things. There's other things around here that I find interesting sometimes, but these fit, I thought, in that category of a couple of toys that I still can't believe I have sitting around. And do you have something like that from your childhood? Share that with me in the comments. I'd love to hear that. Or check out, I think I have email contact in the description. Send me a picture. I'd love to see it. And I will see you next time.